Yeah, that's perfect, because we don't need to, you can, if you can zoom in a little bit, great, but, yeah, you won't need to.
What? Okay. You get them, Lily. You get them. You get them. Like, you didn't ask for it. And you couldn't solve the membership, the social competitive line. You did too. What was your answer?
We're taking viewers right now. Good evening, everyone. We're going to just wait a couple more minutes for the stragglers to roll in, and we'll get started at 5:10.
It's been some fun stuff. They play on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But yeah, yeah, Jim reiterated that to us the other day. Gotta be there. And it's one of the things that COVID was that you want to represent your There is
Yeah, like the play at the end.
I know they don't stop.
Yes, yeah. And these guys are
Didn't work.
Okay, it's 5:10. Let's get this meeting going. Thank you all for coming. Good evening. Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. For those of you who don't know me, I am Paul Barrow. I'm the president of the club. Hold the rotten tomatoes until later. Thank you. As we all know, 2021 has been an event-filled year. A lot of positives have occurred. We have seen tremendous changes in the clubhouse and on the golf course this year. Some things that didn't occur in 2020 finally fell into 2021, and we're excited about that happening finally. As president, my responsibility is to report every 6 months to the membership, and I'm extremely happy to report the club is on solid financial ground. And for those of us who have been longtime members, this is a wonderful, wonderful comment. The golf course is in great shape. The membership support for the club is very strong, and the long-awaited dining room project is finally underway and will be nearing completion soon. Before we dive into the presentation, that'll be, the bulk will be provided by all these individuals here to my left. I want to thank these board members for their service this year, as well as all of the individuals who have served on committees this year. Thank you all for your service and helping make this club the place it is. Thank you all. I especially want to thank two individuals, Vice President Simon Gilbert and LRP Chair Chris Riegel, who, like me, will term out at the end of this year. Thank you for your 3 years of service. I also want to thank, I don't know if he's here tonight, Joe Spirito. Joe, there he is, hello, Joe, who volunteered to serve as legal counsel to the board. He has been a tremendous help for us this year. Tonight, you're going to hear from the general manager and the board member committee chairs as they provide summaries for the year and for what's in store in 2022. The only person who does not have to make a presentation is Simon, who as vice president gets to sit back and enjoy the show. First, Mr. Conforti, our general manager, will provide the top-level operational view of the club. The treasurer's report will be presented by Jan Hoy, who will provide the details of the club's financial position and the budget that we are proposing for 2022. Carol Beth Kozin will discuss communication committee activities. Steve Lopes, golf chair, will provide a summary on the tournaments and other member events that have occurred this year and what we're planning for next year. Mark Fitzpatrick, green chair, will discuss the wonderful improvements on the golf course and what's in store for next year. Mr. Klein, house chair, will share all the fun activities we have enjoyed this year, as well as what's in store for next year. Chris Riegel, LRP chair, will discuss current plans to maintain and improve the club through all the capital expenditures. And lastly, Roger Yang, member chair, will report on our strong membership numbers. Without further delay, I'm going to hand this mic over to our general manager, David Conforti, and we'll get this going. We hope to be done in a prompt and timely fashion, and I request that all questions be held until the end of the presentations. Thank you so much. David?
Thanks very much, Paul. For the record, I had Paul in the over for 5 minutes of a presentation, so I think I owe him a beverage. Well done, Paul. Great to see everybody back, and hello to everybody on Facebook. And I know we're going to get this loaded on our on the member website as well to make sure that everybody who wants to see this can be a part of it. So this year, I think, we've seen a big continuation from last year with a lot of unforeseens that the club has had because of COVID. Last year, we had the crazy demand for the golf course, which has obviously bled well into this year. Nobody saw the real uptick in the interest in golf due to how healthy it is in light of the pandemic. And this year, certainly there's been some challenges and some silver linings as well due to the pandemic. And as much as some of us have some COVID fatigue in terms of its influence upon us, I think we need to acknowledge that it's still around us, at least in how it's affecting how we do things from a day-to-day standpoint. So the first point there is the unforeseen. Rounds of golf continue to be very stout. I know Steve is going to address that with his golfing report. Inflation and labor rates in the labor market. We all see a lot of national and regional press about it. It's just a reminder that unfortunately the golf club is not immune to this sort of thing. A couple of interesting stats. We've got 73% of CEOs, according to Forbes magazine, say that labor is their biggest concern with the coming year. Curiously, that's ahead of supply chain and ahead of inflation concerns. And then according to a very reputable online outfit, 38% of former restaurant workers have no desire to come back to the sector. What does that mean? It's been a challenge finding an appropriate level staff to get the clubhouse open for you all as we'd like to in terms of dining and beverage time. So a big emphasis this year has been on employee recruitment and employee retention. We are doing everything that we possibly can to shake trees and find some staff members. I'm happy to say that we are making steady gains in getting the kitchen staffed up so that we can continue to expand dining times for you all. We hopefully will have a line cook starting next week. I say hopefully because he has signed all this paperwork and is committed to coming next week, but it did happen as recently as last month that we got ghosted by somebody who did the very same thing. So you just never know with this labor market. There are a number of departments that are facing labor shortages. I'm sure Jim has told some of you offhanded or as a group that we have been short an assistant professional in this department for a year. So we have struggled finding a position there. We are continuing to seek a bartender. If any of you all know how to pour a good cocktail, a good stiff one, just let us know and maybe we'll have you work a few hours for us. And even in our clubhouse maintenance department, Sergio has been doing a lot with very little, given we're shorthanded in that department as well. So please continue to be patient with us as we do everything we can to find staff. And there's been a number of initiatives that we've had that have been ongoing. Ghosts I talked about, that has nothing to do with Halloween. We talked about the possibility of more ghosting going on with folks that we make hours or offers to. And the truncated clubhouse service hours. Some of you have heard me say it, the board has heard me say it often. It is literally the bane of my professional existence this year. We are doing all we can to expand every possible hour that we can so you can come and enjoy the clubhouse. There are, with some of this theme of some unknowns due to COVID, some silver linings. Paul mentioned already, we're on very, very good financial footing, and I know Jan is going to talk about that, and Roger is going to touch upon our membership sales. We have quite the waiting list to join the club, and that is due to certainly our marketing efforts and the reputation of the club and those who make up the club, but it also has to do with the popularity of the game as we know it. Some other things to be mindful of with COVID moving forward. We still have a lot of question marks. Right? Moving forward, we're not going to know how inflation is going to affect things. We're not sure what kind of vaccination requirements might be coming down from LA County. LA City made some pretty stern vaccination requirements for their dining establishments last month. Interestingly, the county has not followed suit yet, but we're paying close attention to that. And even OSHA, on the federal standpoint, they provided a draft document that may require our employees to be vaccinated. So we continue to be rolling with the COVID punches. I wanted to switch now to personnel. First off, I wanted to address Steve, our interim director of economy. I think he's been doing a very, very good job. His growth, no pun intended. That pun, his growth I think we've seen it. He has gotten steadily better since he took over the reins back in the middle of June. So thank you for that round of applause. I know that's going to mean a lot to him when I tell him about it. Sitting close to the doors is Brianna. If you haven't met her yet, she's our new membership sales manager. She came to us in May and she filled right in with what were some pretty big shoes to fill with her predecessor. So she's been doing wonderfully. You all may not have met her yet, but as we've been working to staff up, Megan in catering sales, she started in June and she is a selling machine and she's got a great disposition to her as well. So she's been doing wonderfully. RJ started in the kitchen as our sous chef in June as well, and he is someone that Chef and I knew from our days over at Trump, and he's been fitting in wonderfully. And as you saw in an email earlier this week, we do have an interim controller, given Jackie left last month to semi-retire. So a lot of things going on the staffing level. I think the team continues to get stronger and stronger. They're doing wonderful work in keeping safety protocols front of mind and keeping you all safe as they go about operating. And if I can just have a round of applause for every staff member right now. Very much. So a couple of fun slides ahead. Just a couple of things that we've done this year from the CIF perspective. Golf course projects, which Mark will be addressing, but I think a lot was accomplished on the golf course this year due to his leadership. Snack bar, easy for us to remember that at the beginning of the year, that this is what it looked like when you would walk into the snack bar. Now it looks like this, so I think a market improvement in terms of presentation. The draft beer and the fryer ain't so bad either, so hopefully you all have enjoyed the improvements we made this year. Golf course bathrooms on number 4. Once again, market improvements on both the ladies and the men's side. So I think a really good before and after of how far we've come there. And then the dining project. So as you all have heard, as I've written, we had a significant structural issue that has set back the project several weeks. The building is not falling down, but it has necessitated some redesign work. It necessitated getting in some steel and some deeper construction materials that has created delays and has created some cost overruns. And between that and supply chain challenges, we are now looking at a January opening for the dining project. We hope it's earlier in January than later, but frankly continues to be a to be determined. These pictures that you see here might not look at first glance markedly different than what you saw in an email of mine a few weeks ago, but rest assured they are. What you don't see through the picture is various outlets, conduits, cabling, wiring, and light sconces and fixtures. We're going to be ready to insulate and drywall as soon as this weekend, and from there things will really start to move ahead. Meanwhile, our FF&E in terms of artwork and lighting, exterior lighting fixtures and furniture and whatnot, they are starting to arrive at the warehouse. So really, really exciting stuff ahead. We just need a little more patience, and we appreciate that from everyone. Okay, looking forward to 2022. So dues and capital fees. There will be a modest increase in dues and capital fees for next year. It's going to be approximately 5%. We are doing that to best keep up with the rate of inflation and the anticipated rate of inflation. We're doing it as a safeguard for the club in terms of cash flow. So you can expect that to start January 1st. This is all predicated on city approval. We don't yet have city approval. It's been a longer process with them to get our budgets approved this year, but we do anticipate approval next week. City relations continues to be strong. There are a few extra layers that we haven't been used to in years past that we're having to adjust to, but certainly the relationship with them continues to move in a positive direction. Golf course play levels and access, this will also be addressed by other committee members, but we would anticipate that those levels continue to be high going into next year. And then we start getting into the exciting part of this slide. Next year, we have some really great things to look forward to. One of them is our new dining space. It's going to be fantastic. It will be a real magnet, we feel, to the membership and to the community around us, and it's something to very much look forward to early on in Q1. As Q2 hits us, we also have an LPGA Tour event coming, and I think that's going to be just a wonderful thing for the membership, for the pedigree of the club, and it'll be a lot of excitement as literally the best golfers in the world descend upon our facility, and we get to show ourselves off to them and to everyone. This bullet here, but as we look to 2022, we've already broken a record in terms of wedding sales for next year. So we're really excited about what that means for the financial health of the club. Headcounts are down a little bit because of some lingering COVID concerns by our private party guests, but we're going to be should be in for a banner year next year in terms of private party. And then the membership wait list, which is very stout, which I know Roger will address shortly. Okay. Carol Beth's going to talk about our marketing, but I'm really excited about the buzz that we're creating, not just around memberships, but around our a la carte dining project, our private parties, which is being done through a PR firm, and all of our fine efforts here operationally and word of mouth. And then finally, the LPGA buzz. We're going to get some great exposure from that event, not just during the week of the event, but leading up to and after the event. So that's going to really help us from a marketing and an exposure standpoint. As the CIF goes, and this is my last slide before I pass the reins over to Jan, you can expect to hear from Mark about some improvements to various holes coming up next year that are still being considered by Green Committee. We're also going to be doing some design and discovery work for a potential upgrade to the short game practice area. The clubhouse, there are many things going on as we look to continue to make the membership experience even better. We talked about the dining room completion. Chris Regal's going to talk a little bit about expansion concept that we have a subcommittee working on, and we'll be looking at probable upgrades to the men's locker room and potential kitchen expansion. I say probable kitchen or locker room upgrades, given that may be tied into an expansion project, but it's something that's very much front and center on our mind. Finally, the snack bar. We will be getting new patio furniture next year, and we'll be doing some discovery work to see how we can make that patio even bigger, given that has been a much more popular destination since the onset of COVID. Chris will also be talking about the water project. There is some movement there, and we do have some hope and confidence that we're going to start seeing some real movement towards the end of next year. And finally, as I conclude, one thing I always like to remind everyone that as you have ideas, please let me know. Rest assured that your governance group and your board and me, it all starts with putting the club first and not just putting any individual goals we might have, but we're always thinking about how to make this club better for everyone. Thanks very much.
Start off by adjusting. Hello and welcome. I'm going to quickly go over the finance initiatives and what we accomplished this year, and then I'll go over both this year's financials and next year's budget. We were very busy in the finance committee this year. We established 5 initiatives. The first one was a monthly close schedule, and the goal of that was to put a structure in place where we could efficiently and regularly get the financials out by mid-month. Terry Dibble led that initiative. It's been closed, and that close schedule is being worked every month, so it's working well. The second initiative was an event budgeting initiative that we established to help us more understand the costs for both our internal and our external events. Bill Kramer led that initiative with Rich Pannock and Kirk Johnson. So that one is ongoing. The initiative is complete, but the event costing sheet, we actually started with the previous tool. We enhanced it. We added the ability to understand the overheads and what's driving the cost. And then we also put some goals in for the performance of those events. And then we also added the ability for us to go back after the event and actually populate it with our actual costs and see how we're doing to those things. So thanks to that sub-team, it's working, that tool is working pretty well. Fixed asset system was our third one. Some of the previous year's audits feedback was that we needed a system more robust than the Excel spreadsheet we had been using before. Braden Turnbull headed that initiative. We actually researched software packages, picked one. It has been implemented. The auditors are still working with our new interim controller to get that up and running, but we are in the reconciliation phase. It's going very well. Club Essential evaluation, where Tracy Barrow is working on that initiative with Chuck Tree. We're actually looking at the elements to Club Essential, specifically the reporting right now, and how we can enhance that reporting to make the accounting functions easier for them. It's not, as most of you know, an accounting tool. It's a club-wide tool that has accounting functionality in it. So we're looking to make that a little bit better for the accounting team. And lastly, we are working, and the Club Essential evaluation is ongoing. We did not and have no intention of completing it this year and continue next year. The last one was an ACH payment capability. For those of you that don't know what that means, it stands for Auto Clearinghouse. It's like a term from the 50s. It means nothing anymore. But what it is hopefully making the accounts payable function a little bit more streamlined via electronic payments versus the old system of handwriting checks. George Francisco is leading that initiative. That will continue also next year. I just want to take a quick minute to thank my team. They were great. Tracy Barrow, Terry Dibble, Tim Dickens, George Francisco, Kirk Johnson, Bill Kramer, Jack Mott, John Nendick, Rich Pannock, Chris Riegel, Chuck Treat, and Braden Turnbull. Thank you. You guys were awesome. You gave a lot of effort. We accomplished a lot. I'm very proud of the team. And also a big shout out to the accounting team. Azita, Melissa, and Earl Van, who is new, and Jackie before her, they work closely with our team. Next slide. In terms of the 2021 performance to date, as David said, We are performing well. The revenue is strong, although the F&B, and I don't expect you to read these charts, they'll be in the package that's posted on the website. F&B is behind budget, as we know, due to the slow return to the full dining. But the other areas are rocking it. Golf operations is strong. Steve will talk to you about how many rounds of golf we're doing. Nobody is surprised there. We're all trying to get on the course. The Snack Shack continues to really outperform its expectations. It's exceeding its revenue this year by over 100K and its profit by 26K. So it's doing a great job. We'll end the year in a positive position. Mostly that is due to the reduced costs both for COGS and payroll because of the slowness in F&B getting us back to full operations. So we're having a good year. We will continue to have a good year, and we don't expect there to be any changes going into the last quarter of the year. Next slide. In terms of the 2022 budget, as David mentioned, it has not yet been approved. It is up for City Council next week. We see no issues with that. There is a small dues increase. The budget dining room refresh is in here for a completion in January. Also a date, as David mentioned. When we put the budget together, we estimated 49 weddings. We actually didn't have 49 at the time, but we were confident that we were going to get 49. And now, as David said, the number's up to 52, and we still have 6 weeks to go in the year. So we're starting out the number strong. And again, the attendance is down some in those events, but it's a record. I think our previous record for number in a year was 46 or something like that. In terms of the costs, we know the costs are going up everywhere. We understand inflation and all of that. The cost of water does continue to increase for us, and there is a 10% increase proposed in this budget even over this year. So that, as you guys all know, water is a driver in our costs, continues to be a cost. Payroll is always a big driver for us. Minimum wage is going up again. This will be the last year of the 5-year mandatory minimum wage increase, although who knows what's going to happen next year, and we could see more mandatory wages increases there. That has all been rolled in. The other thing that is of note is the workers' comp mod was actually down for next year over this year, which is a good thing for us, but the group insurance costs are going up 8%. So, one area of the insurance is down, which is a good thing. The other area is prices are up in general, but we are confident that with the increase in dues, we are going to run basically at a break-even budget. That is our goal every year. And as you know, this year we had a better year than we expected, but we are expecting to break even. And with that, I will pass it to Carol. Cash position strong. We have money in the CIF. We are continuing to spend it on the dining room. It's flush. And operational cash, as Paul mentioned, is really strong. And it was a long haul from my predecessor on the finance committee to get it where it is. So I've had the easy time. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Carol Beth Cozen. I'm the chair of the Communications Committee. I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. We are still updating members on COVID restrictions as it ebbs and flows. David Conforti is doing a great job of disseminating all the information to the membership as it constantly changes. Our committee has reinvigorated the PR programming and social media posts. We're now receiving monthly summaries from our marketing, from our PR company, and social media posts are going out twice a week. We've been happy to share our impressive member stories in our member spotlight articles in the Barranca. This year we've included members Mark Feil, Gaston Kent, former PVE Mayor Jennifer King, and Lorna Itarian, our most recent Bud Oakley Award recipient. We also introduced some staff members via the member spotlight, we included Pedro Delgado and Steve Enriquez. If anybody has suggestions for future candidates for the member spotlight, we'd love to hear your suggestions. The Communications Committee assisted the Scholarship Committee with Development Reach, and the monies this far is $100,862. We created storyline videos this year of past scholarship recipients, and if you haven't had the chance to view these, they're a lot of fun, and it's all people staff that you know. Please take a look at these. Willie McAllister has put it on our website for you to see. We are really excited about the upcoming LPGA event in May 2020. We've been brainstorming various marketing concepts to create awareness and excitement that the Palos Verdes Golf Club is hosting such a prestigious event. Along with the PR firm Outlier, who is contracted by the LPGA, we've been discussing ideas such as including aerospace companies as sponsors, highlighting women in STEM engineering. We'd like to engage our local college golf teams and local high school teams. LPGA said that they could do that by maybe having them help out with the junior golf clinics during the week. We will be publishing articles in local magazines and newspapers, along with social media to help create a buzz. We're also excited about the new dining room project. We've captured various forms of print to alert our community. PV Magazine, we've already had 2 back cover full page ads. Peninsula Magazine, starting in December, we have an inside cover ad. There'll be some hard hat tours and food critic training. Another idea is perhaps some postcards sent locally, offering a drink or appetizer to help create an introduction to our club. Our 100-year anniversary is coming up in 2024. We're discussing printing a commemorative book like we did for the 75th anniversary. Also, maybe bringing back the Palos Verdes Golf Club vintage photos for sale, and perhaps recycling some of the first member numbers as a thank you or an honor to various members. I want to welcome the 2022 Communication Committee Chair will be George Francisco. Next slide. I just wanted to show some examples of our social media posts illustrating. This page shows some of our golf events and in-house events, along with a teaser of our rendering for the new dining room. And this slide shows some of the social media posts for our wedding events. Jordan Davis and Megan Evans, along with our PR firm Race PR, have done a great job capturing the 52 wedding events that Jan was talking about, compared to 26 events a year pre-COVID. And our remodel of this ballroom has been a great pull for these as well. I want to thank my communications committee for all the time they spent this year. And don't forget to like us on social media, and share our page with friends, and don't forget to use the member feedback page. Next, I'd like to introduce Steve Lopes, our golf committee chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol Beth. I'm Steve Lopes. I've had the pleasure to serve as the chair of the golf committee for 2021. And first, I just wanted to thank Jim Gormley and the golf staff for a tremendous job they've done in 2020 and 2021. As you can see here, and I know it's a lot of numbers, but we have 4 years worth of data here, and you can really break it up into two-year terms. But in 2018 and 2019, we were about 3,500 rounds per month, as you can see. And then COVID hit, and in 2020 and 2021, we have data for 10 months because in 2020 we were closed for 2 months. You probably remember that. And in 2021, we're through the month of October. So We're over 5,000 rounds a month. It's a 40% increase in golf. So the course is getting a tremendous amount of play. Again, thanks to Jim and his staff. They've spent a lot of time in trying to get people out and getting everybody on the course. David mentioned earlier staffing problems, and I did also want to mention that Kerry Sir is leaving us to go to Honolulu, and so that's a big loss for Jim's staff, and he's going to be looking to replace Kerry. But thank you to Kerry for, I think, 14 years or so of service to PV Golf Club, and we're going to miss Kerry as she moves on. Some of the highlights for 2021 that we have from the golf committee is that we did eliminate tee times Monday through Saturday. So the only day that we still keep tee times now is Sunday. Sunday is by far the busiest day of the week. We're looking at what the alternatives are, but for the time being, tee times seem to be working on Sunday. The call-in or the online tee time system that we're using. We have reopened guest play with some limitations, but we're getting back to close to having guest play back to normal, which we think is important for a lot of our members. One of the main charges of the golf committee is to put on the member events throughout the year. And I'm happy to report that in 2021, we had a full complement of member events for this year. Almost all of those events were sold out or filled to capacity. We finished with the Bud Oakley just a couple of weeks ago, and the only tournament that's still out there being finished up is the President's Cup, which started in August, and it's a match play event during the Final Four are taking place right now. So I'm happy to report that we had a full complement of those events throughout the year. I want to thank very much the members of the golf committee that helped serve on that committee throughout the year, and the chairman, and chairwomen that we had throughout the year for these golf tournaments. As it's been mentioned before, we are very excited about this LPGA event that's coming April 24th through March 1st next year. Dave Klein's going to provide some more details to you on that, but as a golf committee and as a golf course, we think it's a fantastic thing to have the LPGA come to Palos Verdes Golf Club and have the best players in the world play here. So we are looking forward to that as a golf committee, and thank you very much for your time. I'm going to pass it off to Mark Fitzpatrick now from the Greens Committee, so thank you.
I'm Mark Fitzpatrick, the Green Chair for 2021. I'm happy to be the Green Chair again for 2022. I'll give a little shout out to the Green Committee. Jan embarrassed us all, so we have to give our names here. So hopefully I don't forget anybody. But we worked the Green Committee pretty hard this year. So shout out to Joe Spirito up there, Lorna, John Berry, Rocky Weber, Dave Bowden, John Resin, Mark File, Ann McGoy, and Jeff DeLorme. Did I say you? First and foremost, before I get into any of the details, I'd like to reiterate David's opinion of Steve Manriquez and the job he's done. As you all know, he stepped into some mighty big shoes. And I think the golf committee, and probably every one of you out there through the course of the dry months of the summer, probably said some, hey, this is a brown spot, and hey, there's a divot, and what's going on, and why isn't this right? Steve stuck to his strategy and his plan, and I think right now, I've been a member for 15 years, and I have never seen the course this nice. I don't know what your opinion is. As an aside, everybody's talking about the LPGA, and of course the LPGA comes out and checks the course out. They came out, a very senior member of the LPGA came out a couple weeks ago and toured the course. And after the tour said, you can hold that event right now. It's pretty impressive for Steve. So shout out to Steve. As you all watched during the course of the year, we completed 5 major projects this year. Pretty happy to have done that. We expanded the gold tee box on number 3. We, as you see, the number 12, this was the new number 12 tee complex. We expanded the fairway and the rough and moved the cart path on number 13 to the point that if you don't play regularly, you probably don't even notice that now. It fits in so well everybody thinks it's been there forever, so that was a great job. We finished up the work of the previous green committee by completing the black tee box on number 15, Paul's efforts. And you can see the new green on 18 down in the lower left. We've increased the pinnable locations, pinnable, that's a word. We've increased the pinnable locations up to almost 80% of that green right now. And prior to this, it was less than 25%. So big effort there. So that was our big jobs for 2021. But the Green Committee doesn't just do big projects. A lot of the people on the Green Committee said, well, what about this little bit? What about this little bit? So we initiated a small, inexpensive, unobtrusive to play project group. And it's ongoing. But so far, we've completed 4 new ramps. I don't know if you're a push cart person or a mobile cart person, hopefully you appreciate the 4 new ramps on the curbing. Number 9, they're coming off the number 9 tee box, coming off the 18 tee box, and 9 and 18 around the greens. Steve is, one of Steve's pet peeves is he doesn't like anything sticking up on the golf course. So we're eliminating all the ball washers, we're eliminating all of the above ground trash cans. We've got 2 new below ground trash cans on the number 10 green and on the number 11 tee. We're going to have at least 10 more before the year's out. We've ordered a new clock. Fingers crossed that we'll have it by the end of the year. It's probably on a boat somewhere in the Long Beach Harbor now, but hopefully that'll come in soon. We bought some netting for the range. If you ever go to the far end of the tee boxes on the driving range, look down to the Barranca. There's thousands of golf balls down there. So we're going to put some netting up along there to keep the stray shots from going in there. And I skipped the junkyard clearing. This is a project that is probably going to take a couple of years, but baby steps first. We found a company at a pretty good price, and we cleared out 20 years of junk. You probably never, you don't rarely go there, but if you come off the number 8 tee box, there's a pathway that cuts you're not supposed to have a fairway on a par 3, but it cuts right across. And there is a junkyard back there that extends all the way back to the far end of the last pond. So the game plan over some years, hopefully sooner rather than later, the game plan is to relocate the practice area from the 12 area and put it in that new area. That new area that we cleared out there is almost twice the size of what we have on number 12. So if you ever go out to the practice area number 12, you get 5 or 6 people out there, you're bumping into each other. We can go out and put this new practice area out there, probably get 10 to 15 people that can go out there and stay out of each other's way. So that's a goal. The Green Committee right now is prioritizing projects for 2022. It's the 2022 Green Committee that gets to vote on these and push it forward to the board, but I'll give you a couple of little hints. We'd like to Okay, it's rare that people can't hear me. The idea for 2022, of course, the Green Committee in 2022 will vote on these, but preliminarily, the 2021 Green Committee is passing on recommendations to the 2022 Green Committee. We'd like to do something like on what we've done on number 12, we'd like to do that on number 11.
Brad, you go look for a replacement mic.
Did I break this again?
Nope. It's just,
I don't talk loud. It's normally hard for me. So the idea is that the high priority project is to change the number 11 tee box to make it look something like what we've done on number 12 this year. We're going to increase pinnable locations on number 14. We've asked the architect to take a hard look at the cart paths we have. We, on Rocky River, had some drones fly overhead to map out the course for us this year. And to be honest with you, it looks like a Grand Prix track. We have so much cart path out there and redundant cart path. So the architect is going to give us a cart path rationalization plan. We're going to take a hard look at the black tee box in number 5 and trying to get the city to cooperate to give us a new tee box on number 16, pushing it back into the break. And then finally, the big hitters back there. And finally, we're going to take a hard look at general landscaping And please, don't hesitate if you've got an idea, the Green Committee's certainly fallible, and if we miss something, we would like to have your suggestions. So that's it for me. I'll turn it over now to. Turning it over to David Klein, who's chairman this year and incoming president.
All right, no mic, I'm going to try and be a little loud. Louder. Oh, here we go. Thank you. All right, here we go. First, thank you to the House Committee. I had no idea at the beginning of the year what House Committee really was, and it's a lot of moving parts. So, and there's a whole bunch of them, so I'm not going to mention all of their names right now, but they have done a tremendous job this year. You see the picture of the new dining room, and it's one of those projects that didn't just happen overnight. Sam Rotundi, Simon Gilbert, many others have put hundreds of hours into making this a reality. So thank you to you guys for making it. So you heard David say that we have structural issues, and that's what you get when you have a 100-year-old building. There were a lot of surprises, and so it's taken us a little bit longer than we thought it was going to take for us to get this done. But with that, we also had some positive surprises. We're going to have higher ceilings in the dining rooms than we thought we would have. We're going to have better acoustics. We're going to have automation and motorized window shades so that when the sun comes in or doesn't, we'll be able to raise and lower, and everything will be at the right height, and it's gonna look really good. I would like to say thank you to 3 of our House Committee members that have termed out. The House Committee has in their charter, allows members to be on the committee for a maximum of 3 years. Dean Thomas, Monica McAllister, and Peggy Lanigan. Peggy's actually been on the committee for 5, so I'm not sure how she snuck through, but thank you very much for their work. It's very invaluable. All right, let's move on. There we go. All right, a little bit about the LPGA tournament. It is exciting, and a lot of people have touched on it already, so I'll just say a few words. We started working on this. Jim Gormley and I started talking to Outlier, the LPGA organizer, back in April, and it was on again, off again, on again, off again. November 9th, we got approval from the city council, and so we're on again, and this is a reality. It's going to be tremendously exciting. We're going to need a lot of help, though, especially from the club. We're going to need volunteers, Lorna.
I know. 300, they tell me.
The invasiveness to our club will be closed for a week, but the invasiveness to our club will be minimal. There's not going to be a lot of setup beforehand that you'll see. It's not like a men's PGA tournament. An LPGA tournament is quite a bit smaller. On Wednesday, there will be a Pro-Am, and we would encourage anybody who's interested in putting a team together for the Pro-Am to join and play with LPGA tour players. It's going to be tremendously exciting. Let's see. Let's move forward then. And if you have any questions about that specifically, let me know. You also heard we had 52 weddings planned for 2022, which is a high water mark. This year we had 27. Last year, in COVID, we had 3. So, we're changing. We're changing where we're going with our external events, and the demand for external events is going up and up. I mean, I would be amazed if in 2023 that we could hit that high water mark of 52, but we're sure going to try. Because that subsidizes a lot of what we do. It subsidizes a lot of our dues and our membership dining. Jordan Davis, Megan Evans have done an incredible job and we have to thank them so much. The outlook for additional business is looking good. We're already booking into 2023. We have 2 weddings on the books already for over a year from now, which is tremendous. You guys probably didn't know we have a wine committee, but it's fun. John McGillis, Chris Hutchinson, Rob Ronauer, and I got to join their trio. Nick Spurgeon, our director of F&B, we've been sitting in various rooms around the building, making sure that the wine you drink is just right, and we're going to continue to work on it next year. What we were able to do is lower the prices. We think that that's in the best interest of all of our members. We had pricing that was set many, many years ago, and a formula that really wasn't working. We've got a lot of wine that just sits downstairs. So we've lowered the prices. Some bottles have come down $150 a bottle, which is tremendous. We've also improved the quality of house wines. We've brought in a new vendor, and we have a new label that's from Monica McAllister and Willie McAllister's son. It's called 1924. It's our label. Nobody else can have it. So I hope you like it. We certainly do. We have opened up the Margate Courtyard for dining and outdoor spaces. If you haven't been down there, please go down there and check it out, especially when it gets a little warmer. We do have heating down there, and it's a beautiful area to watch the sunsets. All right. In 2021, well, we had a pretty good time. Fireside chats, David Wright, Pat Stack, Bob Fullerton talked about Napa. All members, Craig Leach, the CEO, president of Torrance Memorial, came in and spoke with us. We did several chef spotlight dinners, and the food the chef prepares is just wonderful. Major viewing parties. Next year we will do that again. If you can come by the club on a Sunday for the Masters, the PGA, the U.S. Open, please do. We have a special all-you-can-eat menu, and it really is fantastic opportunity to hang with friends and watch the golf. Tom Love did some Cars and Coffees events. We're going into the holidays with a lot of wonderful events. You saw the holiday guide. Freeman, Stockhorn, Spotswood all came this year. We already have Rudd, fantastic winery, and Chef Montalena, Bo and Heidi Barrett are going to be coming down next year for wine dinners in 2022. Family event programming. We are getting more and more younger members. We've got a great junior membership program that has become very popular, and so we're doing a lot more family program. You'll see more of that coming in the future. And Dinner on the Fairway, Simon's great idea, was another hit again this year, and we'll be continuing that. So I think that's all I've got. Chris, you're up. Thank you.
Everybody, thanks for coming. It's great to see a lot of people in the room in person after way too many Zoom meetings and trying to scroll through little 1-inch screens to see everybody. So thanks for being here. There we go. I'm Chris Riegel. I'm doing LRP this year, and I'd like to thank our committee. It's a large one, and it's a really good one. There are a lot of there's ex-LRP chairmen, ex-presidents, a lot of men and women in the room that have a lot of experience, so I'm just happy to be part of it. We worked on a number of projects this year. Being long range, they're long range projects and they take a while. The first one that I'll talk about is the water project. That's been going on for quite a number of years, probably almost a decade. And the goal of that and the purpose of it is to bring recycled water to the course so that going forward in drought years and regular years, we don't have to use 100% potable water. And the two water agencies in the area are West Basin and Cal Water. We buy our water from Cal Water. West Basin is a larger wholesaler, and they run the Hyperion treatment plant, and they currently pump millions and millions of gallons every day, treated water out into the ocean. So the goal is to they have a pipeline that terminates down by South High. So the project would take that from South High up to just across the street or at the street near the 11th Green and 12th T complex. And from there, we would pipe it into our course and use recycled water. The project overall, the cost is paid for mostly by Cal Water in West Basin. The estimate was upped a couple of years ago to about 13.9 million, and that includes about a 30% contingency. They're currently looking at another estimate just because prices have risen a lot, as everybody knows. So we're hoping that we'll have that number and ready to move forward early next year. Their plans are, we had a call just last week, we're trying to finalize the contract, and then from there they will get bids in April and May, and then it will be about a 12 to 13 month build on their part. So with any luck, and I think there's a typo, it's April, May of 22, not 23, behind me. So with any luck, the fall of 23, we'll have recycled water here on the course, and we won't have to worry about future droughts and fairways going brown and crabgrass and all the rest of it. So really excited about that. And thank you to the committee and to Tom Melberg, who's really been thanks. Yeah, and I want to shout out to Tom Melberg, who's been working tirelessly on this for a number of years, and Greg Spiker as well, who's really been instrumental working with a number of the agencies who are at times difficult to motivate and have a lot of things going on, so they do move a little slowly. The city pool project, I just wanted to mention that because earlier in the year, the city had formed a task force, or actually last year, I think, they started a task force to look at ways that in their concessions they could increase revenue and services to the city residents. And so they put together a task force between the tennis club, the golf course, the city to explore that. And they sent out a survey that we distributed that the city put together earlier in the year, and most of you probably took part in that. It was a little confusing. I think a lot of people thought it came from the club. It was really more from the city through us so that we could gauge interest in it. Both the tennis club and the golf club weren't super interested in the project. There are a number of other challenges to it. So at this point, it's not moving forward, at least down next to the tennis courts. The city might look at other locations for it, but I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on that. Spoken like true golfers. So the other project, the big one and really fun one that started in a different format a number of years ago, in a larger scale with Scott Chernoff, who I see back in the room, started to work on this as just a clubhouse expansion project to really move this clubhouse into the future, and to put some of the things that we all want to see, like the new men's locker room, fitness center, those kinds of things. But we know, I would like that too. So anyway, it started a while ago. We've been working on it. Sam Rotundi and Braden and Greg Spiker have put together a subcommittee to study this. It's in exploratory phase at this point. We have gotten to a point where we have an initial design that's close enough where we can get an estimated budget from a contractor. They're working on that now. We should, in early December, have a budget for this, and we'll know kind of an order of magnitude of what it's going to cost. It won't be cheap. It encompasses a number of things: the bigger locker room, a men's lounge, new pro shop over by the first tee, expanded fitness center, meeting rooms, golf simulator, larger Bud Oakley room with a number of the Bud Oakley pieces in the current room that would be moved, and probably a more usable one that everyone can enjoy, either from, private room standpoint, meetings, that kind of thing. So it really is a big project. That was the kind of the footprint of it. These are kind of the elevations. If you look down on the kind of to the bottom left, you'll see kind of here, this is really the bulk of the project. We would do some remodeling downstairs and then build out a new men's locker room, fitness center, out over where the first practice green is right now. And this would be the new pro shop, simulator, some bag storage underneath, and a new snack shack that would be incorporated within the project. So this would be kind of the bulk of the project right there. So the challenge will be paying for it. We're looking at different ways to do that, from obviously CIF money, potentially loans from the members like we did when we did the West End project a number of years ago, and then looking at putting together a foundation where we might be able to get tax charitable donations, tax write-offs for that, because it's going to be a big project. But I think it's a really exciting one. And if we can, we're trying to tie it into the 2024 centennial, because this really will be, I think, if we can do this, then the clubhouse for the next 100 years. I mean, it will really be fantastic. So we have member support and financing. I think we can pull this off, and you guys will be hearing a lot more about it probably early next year from Steve Lopes as we move forward. So that's the clubhouse expansion. And then the last thing, I just wanted to kind of run through the CIF numbers. We started off the year with a large balance of about 5.4 million. Our revenue continues to be really strong because of the demand for golf. So total revenue this year is about 2.3 million to the CIF between new initiations, new members, and then the capital fee that we all pay on a monthly basis. Our actuals to date and forecasted spend for the CIF this year is about 4.877 million, and that's made up mostly between golf course maintenance and projects, about 1.1 million, the dining room, clubhouse, pro shop, snack shack, about 3.5, and then some carryover projects from last year that we were paying this year about 200,000. So that leaves us with a year-end balance of about 2.9 million going forward into next year. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, good evening. I'm Roger Yang, and again, I'm last. It's interesting. It gives me a good opportunity to kind of reflect right on this past year before I get into my 12 slides. This is my first year on board, and I'm so appreciative, right? And you make new friends, and it's a great experience. And you learn so much about this great club we have, and you're just really appreciative. And I'll tell you, it's a lot of information, too much. It's a lot of work. But you look around the room, and it's all about, you got you've got a bunch of past presidents out there, over there, hiding in the back, past board members, a ton of volunteers, and it's all about what you all did. And I'm just really appreciative, and I just hope I don't screw it up. So, but I'll tell you, and I don't think we can say it enough either, is and David mentioned it, but and I really want to appreciate, our outgoing board members, right? Chris Regal and Simon Gilbert, and of course Paul. Paul joked last night at our board meeting that when he started this a year ago, he actually had brown hair, right? He had dark hair. So, David Klein, that's what you have to look forward to. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. So membership, gosh, there's so much going on in membership. Chris did a great job last year, and it goes without saying that we've got such a great jewel here. And I do want to thank, 6 committee members. John Berry actually didn't do a very good job, so we promoted him to the board next year. Jan Cote, Lottie Pistova, Fitz Fay, who I think is here, Whit Lee, and of course Jan's Testament. So thank you so much to all of them, and of course all the volunteers for meeting every month and doing what they do to make this place great. David mentioned it, I'm going to mention again, Brianna Acosta over there. We stole her from Virginia and we're not giving her back. I'm going to talk about some ideas that are really hers in some of the research. It's all about the member experience. It's all about you, it's all about us, and just, how do we continue to make it great. So highlights, 31 new members for the year. Our waiting list now is at 42 members. 42. 18 are resident, 24 non-resident. Brianna, what are we quoting? We're quoting 2 years or so, right?
I'm quoting 2 to 3 now.
2 to 3. And again, it just shows what a great offering we have. So look, demand is high, obviously, and with that, we are proposing, we have approved this, effective January 1, we will be raising initiation dues residents from $49,000 to $55,000, non-residents from $69,000 to $77,000. So as you know, and that's still, by the way, great value, right? When you look at the other clubs around here, we are still a great value. And as a reminder, right, the initiation fees go to CIF. They go to CIF, largely what Chris just showed in the prior slide. Okay, so next slide, 22 highlights. So I have the privilege of serving membership again. David, let me do that. I'm delighted to do it. I'll tell you, it takes you 6 months to figure out what the hell's going on. So I feel like we can make some changes, right? And I'm not going to reiterate all the stats and the numbers about, how golf is out of control, and it definitely is. But we've been so focused on just not making, long-term decisions based on kind of the short-term reality. But maybe the short-term reality is the new reality, right? And I think we just have to be measured and think about, as we review really all of our membership classes, do we have the right classes of membership? Do we need more? Do we need less? Are the numbers right, et cetera? Trust me, we are looking at all of it. It's our job to do that. We've gotten the feedback. We hear you loud and clear. And we're committed to do that. And I think the good thing about being able to do membership again is that we can really hit the ground running next year. Brianna created a little membership analysis, and it was fascinating. And some of this you may have heard, but I'm gonna just read it for you just because I want to keep you from dinner. 25 million golfers in the U.S. in 2020. It's a 500,000 person increase, largest increase in 17 years. Golfers. The largest percentage was in beginner golfers, youth golfers, and actually women golfers, which I think is great. My wife, just started playing during COVID, and she, single-handedly, I think, supported Ron Bauer. Along with Barb and Pam over there, I think they single-handedly kept our bar intact. But, here's the other one. 1 out of every 3 Americans age 6 and above, 1 out of every 3, they either played golf, they watched it, or they read about it. I think that's cool, right? I mean, that just shows us what's coming in the future. So a lot of other stats, but I think the reality is, and we're learning, and we know, we need to figure out how to balance the demand on our great course. So I mentioned we're going to look at the categories. We're going to continue to look at what is our new membership process. And again, this is just some great intel and research that Brianna has done. Let's put some more structure and rigor around our new membership process. Many clubs, most clubs, require a sponsor, a second sponsor, some sort of interaction with the potential member, other than does their check clear or not. So look for that. I think it's not to imply that we've made any mistakes this year. Okay, maybe 1 or 2, right? But no, but we do want to continue to enhance the new member process. And look, at the end of the day, again, it's all about the member experience and appreciation.
right? Are we doing a good job of integrating our new members and appreciating the ones that are here? So I loved it. It's been a ton of fun. Thank you so much. And I'll turn it over to Simon.
Evening, everybody. Simon Gilbert, Vice President. I'd like at this point to put your hands together and thank our 2021 Mr. President, Mr. Paul Barrow, and our GM, Mr. David Conforti, for steering our club in the right direction this year. We've experienced some setbacks and challenges throughout 21, but these guys have done a great job, and for that we should appreciate it. Thank you. Also like to thank all of the members of the board, not only for this presentation this evening, but for the contributions all year long. There's been a lot, accomplishments from every committee and from all board members, so thank you very much. Put your hands together, I appreciate the board. Something else we've got to do this evening, and that is to present to you this evening our new president, 2022, Mr. David Klein. If you can stand up. He's going to do a great job next year. So as Paul and Chris and myself step down in 44 days, 2 hours, 35 seconds, yeah, something like that. We welcome our new board members that come in. We need to list those guys: Dan Finnegan, John Barry, George Francisco, our new board members. So as said before, a quick recap. Obviously, you're getting the idea. We've got a lot of positive things going on. The new dining room will be completed. We can enjoy our new surroundings, get back to normality, get back to dining, having a Golf Club member bar environment again, something that we haven't seen for quite a time. Course is looking good. As we've said before, it's better than it ever was. The new improvements continue to enhance an already great gem. The feather in our cap, you've all heard it, the LPGA comes, and it's going to be here in April. So we have a healthy membership wait list, as we've said, 42 members and rising. After the LPGA, I think we'll see an increase in that list as well. We have a strong banquet business, 52 weddings for 2022. The remodeled banquet area is doing what it's supposed to do. It attracts new customers. We have the alternative water source. LRP's just talked about it. It's looking positive. And we have the expansion project in the offering. Finally, we're in a healthy financial position. So we have many reasons to be cheerful. Let's continue to look forward to a positive 2022 at Palos Verdes Golf Club. Thank you. We are now open for questions.
Okay, so let's try to make sure we hear the questions, and if required, I can repeat them through the microphone. So, yes.
Paul, does this LPGA tournament have a name?
Mr. Klein.
Yeah, it does. Well, right now, JTBC is the primary sponsor at this moment. JTBC is the NBC of South Korea. So they're sponsoring 3 different tournaments. They are looking for a title sponsor, so if you're interested, you can get right in there. It's called right now it's called the JTBC Palos Verdes Classic.
Yes.
Do you have any idea how long the commitment is for the tournament, whether the LPGA is committed to us or we're committing to them for more than a year?
I can answer that. This is a 1-year agreement, but there is a proviso, if successful and under consideration, there can be future events here. But that's not a commitment we're considering right now. That'll be for next year's board, and we'll see how this tournament runs. No financial questions for Jan, really? Let me just make a comment about that. You heard from Jan. We analyzed the financial position that we have right now is just phenomenally, surprisingly strong. I was very glad to report that to the members. We initially thought that we would have a very modest increase or perhaps zero increase for dues next year. In light of the recent news that we've all alluded to here, for, Chris Regal with the LRP, rising costs for, future capital expenditures, Jan, just, and David talking about just labor costs. We felt it more prudent for increase that not necessarily matches the anticipated CPI for the Los Angeles County, but just below it. So you will be seeing, if the city approves our budget, you will be seeing that notification from our general manager in an email on what those increases will be. But across the board, it's just a little bit below 5%. And as we have all read, the estimated CPI right now, last I checked, was approximately 6.2 for Los Angeles County, if I recall correctly. So we're trying to be very modest there. Yes?
Do you know when the city council will be discussing your financial situation?
Yes, they have a meeting at the end of this month. Next Tuesday, excuse me.
They want to know the question.
The question was, when will the council be considering our budget? Let me be honest, we presented our information to the liaisons that interact with the golf club in October as normal practice. And there's been some back and forth which necessitated the delay.
What's the latest with the junior executive membership?
The junior executive membership issue is under consideration. We've discussed options with the city, and they are considering our options, and they have not provided a decision on that as of yet. But that is something that should be either cleared up in the near term or shelved for now and discussed at a further date into 2022.
What are the issues?
We have some issues with the JEM access to the chorus in relation to other classes of membership, and we're proposing a couple of items that the city is concerned about, and so we have presented a couple of options which they did not like, and so we're still negotiating and dealing with that right now. I'm sorry for my vague response, but it's still in the works. Yes?
There's been discussion about the heavy use of the course and the heavy number of members we have compared to some other clubs. Any thoughts on reducing the number of members?
Since the question came from the front of the room, I'll repeat it. The question is basically, we have a lot of use of the course by a lot of members, and what's our consideration for any adjustment there? Is that about right? Yeah. As Roger Gang mentioned, membership committee is actively looking at all possibilities on how to handle that. Look, as Mr. Lopes alluded to, we, through October, already have 53,000 rounds to date on this golf course, and we still have November and December to go through. This is unprecedented. Yeah, the course is in phenomenal shape, but we're concerned that the continued process in the long-term member experience might be impacted. So we are considering alternatives for membership number, membership classes, things like that. Yes?
Paul, one more. My wife and I usually decide the day of if we want to stop by the club for dinner. So once the new dining room project is completed, I'd like us to be thoughtful about how widely we promote the new facility to the general public. One of the benefits of being a member of the club is that you get to drop in. And I hope we don't get shut out. The members don't get shut out. If we are casually decide to come by the club, let's have a cocktail, let's stay for dinner, only to find out that there's no room for you.
That's a great question. Let me repeat that. So the question is, Here we are, we're gonna have a brand new dining facility. Sorry, Norm, this is not working. And what we don't, is it on? Okay. And what we don't want to have happen is members who show up just unannounced or without a reservation, just, hey, let's go to dinner at the club. And the dining room's full of people who aren't members. So there's a couple of items here in play. We want to make sure that the members on the Hill, the residents who reside, that are local, have the ability to dine here. By our concession agreement, we have to have that facility open. And we want that revenue, by the way. Now, this is why we encourage, once this wonderful project is completed and open, we'll encourage reservations. We anticipate a tremendous demand. We're going to have a soft opening to make sure that we get things right. And again, like Mr. Conforti alluded to, we might have a labor level that can only necessitate a certain level of reservations. We'll get there. But we don't see that as being a problem. We have very little of that right now. Anybody can come in and dine at the club right now, even before the remodel, even prior to COVID. Yep. Yeah, I think David Conforti wants to add to that.
Thanks, that's a good question. So obviously we're doing all we can to make sure that we're staffed appropriately so that we can be open at times that you become used to or that you were used to before COVID. What you can expect out of the gate is that we will be only open for members for a little bit. We want to make sure that you all have access to the new space first. That said, we will probably restrict the number of reservations, the number of covers for a little bit out of the gate, just so we find our operational way about us. New operating space, new places for our front of the house staff to get used to operating out of. Paul alluded to a soft opening. That's the way I would define a soft opening. So we want to make sure we can accommodate you all first. And then at some point we will let members of the community in. We're in a unique space right now because of our new space where we can actively promote this new space to the community. I often get asked in my 4.5 years here, hey, why don't we market the restaurant to non-members more so we can get more revenue? The dilemma is we're trying to sell memberships to a private club at the same time for a not inexpensive amount. I don't want to be seen as us promoting too much, hey, come and dine at our facility, anybody can come. So we love the fact that we can tell the world, hey, we've got this new dining space to see. So we're saying, come see it without saying, come eat with us. So, when we do a mailer, we're not going to say, hey, get a free cocktail, get a free piece of food or whatever. It's just, hey, come see the new space. So we're towing that fine line. And then frankly, we won't be advertising the dining space anymore after spring-ish, early summer. But this is our window to try to get the word out to the local community that they can come and eat.
Mr. Conahan.
Paul, I have a question. What is the board's policy on outside golfing events? And my question is there a set number of tournaments that we're willing to accept? Or do we just accept everyone that comes in at us?
That's not the case. I think we have I don't want to say a set number, but we have a number of tournaments that historically have been here through time. And we like to have, they're local, they have a lot of local support, a lot of members are involved in those. We like to retain those. We have, I think, minimized the outside tournaments moving forward, but there are some we wish to retain and move forward with. But we do not have a set number.
So how many, can I just say, how many did we have this year? Does somebody know that?
Mr. Conforti has said roughly 15.
Okay. And how many do we have booked for next
We'd have to consult with Mr. Gormley on that.
Okay, I'm just curious, I mean, there used to be a policy, and that the board authorized up to 11 tournaments. And we had all local tournaments. I don't know if I agree with you that they're all local tournaments anymore. I mean, you see them in the schedule, and you have no idea who they are. I mean, I know we got the Children's Hospital, I know we got Providence Food Company, and we got some really good local ones. I'm just curious what the policy was, that's all.
It's something we can look into. I think the lady over there had her hand up first, but now I think she's. Okay. Yes.
What's the financial benefit to the club for hosting the LPGA event?
Financial benefits are small. There is a revenue generation factor that basically will cover all of our costs. But there is no real profit incentive here. This is more marketing, and like Mr. Gilbert stated, this is a huge feather in our cap just to even entertain this.
Can I follow on that? The club will make a little bit of money. It's not a lot of money, it's a little bit of money. The city will make a little bit of money as well. What we do expect is to get a long-term benefit in the number of memberships that we generate over the years. And hopefully our list of 40 will grow to 60 or 70 as more and more people have the opportunity to see the club.
Yes, ma'am. Hang on, Laura.
It's so enjoyed hearing from all of you, by the way. I just had a really quick, easy question. Pam and I were just talking about it. And that's that it's cheap and it's an easy fix. It would be possible to have more, like a few more chairs down by the range and like it's really hot and sunny, like an umbrella. Because sometimes people like want to just like sit down for a moment in the shade, but they have to like squat by where the range cluster used to be if they want to be in the shade.
Great comment. We will have the committees take a look at that. These are the kinds of comments that we, as a board and anybody that served on committees, we love to hear from the members on ideas. So thank you for that.
Okay, just one fact for all of you to know. With this LPGA tournament that is coming up, Nellie Corda, who is the #1 gal out on the LPGA, and her sister used to play here in the AJGA tournaments. And some of you probably took their scores, but they're coming back for this tournament. And while I'm here and you're listening to me, the volunteer sheets will be out very soon.
You sure you don't want the microphone? We had a question over here. Yes.
I was just wondering, why don't we have any distance markers at the range? It would be really nice to know how far I can get.
Well, we have yardage
You have
identifiers.
something on the side that's always over here, but not where you are. It would be just nice to see. Oh, that's good. And we can alter it by.
Another idea for the Green Committee over there. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Mr. Misty?
Yeah.
All right. Any further questions? Thank you all. Oh, no, one more, Linda. Yes.
Who are you betting on the UCLA?
Oh, well, UCLA has a winning record, so.
I know.
Thank you all very much.